Welcome to Bounce Back Stronger, the podcast that explores ways to find peace and purpose no matter what happens. On today's episode of Bounce Back Stronger, we're joined by Gwen Florio, an award-winning journalist and novelist whose career has taken her from a wildlife refuge in Delaware to conflict zones around the world. A little about Gwen. Gwen's love for storytelling began in childhood, surrounded by nature and books, and has blossomed into a decades-long career in journalism and crime fiction. With a rich literary background, Gwen has written acclaimed novels set in places as diverse as Montana and Afghanistan, exploring themes of justice, resilience, and human connection. Recently, Gwen experienced the heartbreaking loss of her child, an event that has deeply impacted her life and writing. Today, she'll share how she continues to navigate grief, find strength in her experiences, and explore new creative projects. Gwen, thank you for joining us on Bounce Back Stronger. I'm so honored to have you on the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it's so good to have you here. I read the Montana book that you wrote, and I'm looking forward, after looking on the website, to reading more. And we've kind of talked a little bit beforehand. I'm an aspiring novelist too, so I admire how you moved from journalism into writing novels.
It took many, many years. So I was aspiring for a very long time.
And maybe I do want to get to that for sure, but maybe talk a little bit about how you got into writing. You started off in a wildlife refuge in Delaware, and how did that inspire you to move into writing?
Yeah, mostly because my parents would not let us have TV, which made me feel terribly deprived. But we went to the library every week. And
Nice.
so I read like a maniac as a child through adulthood, and just always wanted to be the person who created those magical worlds that I so enjoyed as a reader. And so I started writing as a kid, just writing terribly for decades. And eventually, actually, when I was in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Inquirer, I joined the Rittenhouse Writers Workshop and really started seriously trying to level up there, and got a couple of short stories published in teeny tiny literary magazines, sort of the way things go. But it was, I want to say, well over a decade from getting that first story published to publishing my first novel. Actually, I think it was closer to 20 years.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Writing,
And
writing, writing, rejecting, rejecting, the whole
yeah,
time.
and you got it published too, which
Yes.
is amazing. Yeah. And how many books have you written?
I just turned in my 13th.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And some are series and some are standalone, right?
Right, right. There's
Yeah.
only one standalone, and there's one that's just two, a
Hmm.
novel and a sequel.
Oh, very cool. Very, very cool. And you set them in a lot of different places.
Mhm.
I'm going to talk maybe a little bit about that.
Sure. I realized a few novels in that all of my writing is place-based, and I think it
Mm.
has a lot to do with where I grew up. I did grow up in a wildlife refuge, so totally connected to the land and the natural world around me. And I would say the vast majority of my books would start with looking at a place I liked and thinking, what might happen here that would justify a novel? I was very fortunate to be at the Philadelphia Inquirer at a time when we still had national and foreign correspondents. And I was a national correspondent in Denver, where I got paid to roam all over the Intermountain West writing
Wow.
stories. And so my first five novels were set in different places around the West that I had lived in. Actually, two more following that were set in a place that was never named, but basically was Montana.
Oh, that's amazing. It's nice to get paid to do your side job.
So nice. So nice. Yeah. Although when I went to research them, I was like, wait, I have to pay for my own travel now. That part, not so much fun.
Didn't like that.
Right.
And you set one in Afghanistan too, or more than one.
I did just one.
This one.
And I went there twice in 2001 and again in 2002 when I was working for the Denver Post. And I just found the stories there so
Mm.
incredibly compelling, especially the stories of women in ways that newspaper stories to me could not begin to capture adequately. So I wrote a novel about women in Afghanistan.
And that's a great segue to some of the subjects that you've written about in terms of crime and sounds like women issues as well. It should be figured in there and inequality and things like that. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, beyond the experience in Afghanistan, I think a lot of my journalism and certainly my fiction centers on inequality, as you just said, injustice. My very last reporting job was what we call the cops and courts beat,
Ah,
where I covered crime and courts and just daily injustice right in the face. Just incredibly fascinating. And those subjects have always really concerned me. So I think, again, everything I've written, certainly in fiction, that's always kind of the underlying theme, and almost always as it affects women, not necessarily crimes against women but women dealing with these very difficult circumstances. Yeah, I think so many times the deck is so stacked against women, and like especially in a place like Afghanistan where it is completely stacked against them. And I met the most strong, resourceful women there in the most hopeless circumstances. And I just was in awe of their strength.
can you give me an example of that? I think that would be really interesting to hear because I think people do feel sometimes hopeless. We all do, and
Mhm.
at different times. And it's just great to hear a story of somebody overcoming that or at least standing up for themselves in those situations.
Right. I met a woman who was a widow who worked in a bakery. It was one of the very few jobs that women could hold. Under the Taliban, women couldn't work. And this particular woman was widowed. And if you're a widow and your husband's brother doesn't take you in
Mm.
as another wife, you're either a beggar or you're a prostitute. The
Oh,
UN
wow.
set up a series of bakeries and negotiated something with the Taliban that let widows work there. So she had a way to support herself and her maybe five children, several
Mm.
children. And then a US bomb went awry and hit the bakery and put all the women there out of work.
Oh,
Uh,
no.
so when I met her, she was living in this single room in a mud house with a dirt floor with these children, and she had sent her daughters away to an orphanage because she couldn't support them. And eventually, one of them was able to return home, the other wouldn't come home.
Mm.
And yet, she persisted. She was lovely. I never came to this house in complete and utter poverty without being offered tea, without being offered if they had any food. And I was just like, how do you do this? She was funny. She joked. And so when I think of things I've been through, my God,
Mm.
yeah, women
Yeah.
in
So,
this place.
yeah, it's incredible strength. And you alluded to what you've been through.
Right?
Maybe take a moment there, however you want to talk about it, obviously.
Yeah. Grief is an absolute rat bastard. I hope I can say that. It is
I was going
just,
to say it's a bitch, but you
yeah,
you hit it.
awful. And it's been 3 years now.
Mhm.
So I'm past that initial, don't know if you're going to be able to take the next breath period. And that lasted a very long time. I'm sure everyone who goes through this feels like it. It's how do you survive this? It seems impossible and it seems cruel that you have to survive it. I will wake up in the morning and go, oh my God, I've got to go through this again today. Thanks a lot. I'm
Yeah.
to allude to the great philosopher Taylor Swift and her doing it with a broken heart.
Mhm.
Lights, camera, bitch, smile. Just fake it. And
Yeah.
I think that I just pretended I was doing okay until I began to do okay. Your book talked a lot about one of your coping strategies you mentioned was yoga. For me, it was walking.
Mm.
One thing that really helped me that was unplanned, I had long before Kate died, I had set up a writing residency in Naples, Italy that was going to start a few weeks later. And I thought, oh, how can I possibly do this? I couldn't get my money back. My husband said, go, and if you hate it, come back. There
Right.
are planes. And I was living in this incredibly supportive community in Missoula, Montana. It's just the most wonderful place in the world. But people were so kind that it was in my face all the time.
Yep.
So I flew off to this place where nobody knew me. Naples is an incredibly challenging city.
Mm.
At first glance, it's chaotic, it's dirty, it's trashy. And I came to just love it. because I was forced to go out. I had to buy food. I had to figure out where the ATMs were. I had to realize that on Friday afternoons, the ATMs ran out of money and there would be no cash until Monday.
Oh my God.
So I was taken out of myself daily, just trying to navigate life. And in the process of that and walking a lot, I started discovering beautiful things in Naples. Just I'd look down an alley and someone would have a balcony full of beautiful flowering plants or the very lovely pastries, things like that. Now, there is just so
Yeah.
much wonder in unexpected places, and I will be forever grateful to the city for basically saving my life. I mean, that's how I felt about it. I haven't been back, and I want to go back. I want to go back at a time when I can really enjoy it and appreciate it instead of just trying to get through. But yeah, who'd have thunk, huh?
Yeah. I mean, and how long were you there?
A month.
Yeah. It's actually brilliant because one of the things, and I mentioned it in the book, which thank you for reading it, that you can build new pathways, and you
Yeah,
kind of did. So you threw yourself into a new place
right,
and they didn't know you, so you didn't have to keep
right.
talking about it that way. And sometimes that's hard, but it can be good too.
Yeah,
And you were spending time looking at new things and beautiful things, which is really helpful for our
right,
mental state too. I mean,
completely.
it was really a gift for you.
Yeah, yeah, very unexpected. And as I said, I remain incredibly grateful. I don't know that I would prescribe it for anyone, but it worked for me.
Yeah. What's interesting, after my fiance died, I had scheduled to assist a friend of mine's yoga retreat in Mexico, and it happened about 3 weeks after he died. And I wasn't sure whether to go or not. But I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to a yoga retreat. It's going to be largely silent, right?
Right.
So, so maybe I can just get by. Like
Yeah.
I had it all planned, and it wasn't that long. It was like a week, but it was really good for me. I had a very transformative experience with a spiritual healer there that just got me at the right time.
Yeah.
And the same kind of things, like I was just getting up in the morning, I was going to bed, I had to figure out what I was doing every day. And it was so beautiful that I
Yeah.
could believe that maybe I could get past it. But I wasn't 100%
Right.
anything at the end. But I
Right.
was able to believe that there was just a little bit of light there that
That
I
is
could maybe move beyond.
that is a wonderful way to put it. Like I was still in pretty rough shape when I came back, but I had this glimmer like, oh, I'm going to survive. It's not going to be fun, but I'm going to get through because I have done this thing that gave me a real sense of accomplishment. I think I had had one semester of Italian under my belt, so I could barely speak, and
Right.
communicate with people.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just challenges that had nothing to do with my grief. And then overcoming them gave me the sense of, okay, you've still got some strength here, which
Yeah.
is really good.
Yeah. And have you written at all about what happened?
Yes and no. I could not even write her obituary. My
Yeah.
son wrote a beautiful tribute. Other people I know have written very movingly about their grief. I could not imagine doing it, except that I have a novel that's out on submission now that when I finished it, it's like, oh, this entire novel is about a woman trying to protect her child. Duh.
Yeah, exactly.
So it came out that way.
Yeah. And probably helpful to dive into that subject.
Yeah, yeah, in a way that was again kind of removed. I'm probably in complete denial about what I was doing, but I really loved writing that book.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see
Yeah,
how it moves forward. And I can't wait to read it. But it also interesting to see how you continue to write about it over time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I assume at some point I will. I just don't know when, and I think the right time will come. I've really been helped by other books people have written, maybe some that didn't touch exactly on my situation, but close enough. People will say, "Oh, losing a child is the worst thing." I'm like, all grief is the worst thing. I would hate to categorize one kind over another. Your person is gone and is never coming back. And that's the thing. I was just like, how can this possibly be true? And it is.
Yeah. That comes into the category of it's hard to know what to say.
Right.
It's that whole thing, which is why
Yeah.
sometimes it's good to leave your life for a little while and go someplace else where people don't know. Because it's
I,
sometimes,
yeah.
and people mean well, I don't mean it meanly. I think it's just one of those things.
I was so grateful to a coffee shop owner in Missoula. I used to go there a lot to write. And the first time I went there afterward, she saw me and she ran up to me and threw her arms around me and said, Gwen, this effing sucks. And I was like, yes, it does. You are exactly right. That was exactly the right thing to say.
Exactly.
That's kind of what I thought all day, every day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it does. It does effing suck. And it's a hard segue from that subject, to be honest. I wonder the community part. Like you've done a lot of your writing in community. You've obviously have a good community and a community that supported you through this time. Talk a little bit about that, maybe.
Yeah, it was terrific. Again, Missoula, we'd been there, oh gosh, 15 years at that point. So we had a really close circle of friends. We don't have family there, so we had the
Mm,
family of friends, which was quite wonderful. And it's a pretty tight-knit community anyway. My larger writing community came swooping in and just, I mean, people sent food. They say that just all the things that people
all the
do.
things.
One of the most wonderful things was the day after it happened, someone had heard somehow and told a friend, and she called me and she goes, I have Valium. And I said, yes, please, because I couldn't sleep. I was
That's
just
the hardest part.
in shock. And I thought this is so much better than any casserole. But just little things like that. Again, other friends who'd been through it, they would just see me and hug me. And you've been through the same journey. I think that was, those people really didn't have to say anything. It's just like, I know. And that was
Yeah,
great.
it's so helpful to find people that have been in the same
Right.
situation.
Right.
And I can't stress that enough for people as they go through grief. I don't know if this resonates for you, but there's a little bit, I almost feel like a little real resentful to somebody else if they haven't been through it in those early days.
Yeah. It's like, oh, lucky you. Uh,
Exactly. I don't know how you feel. Well, I really didn't need to hear that.
right.
It's just like,
Right.
I mean,
No, I luckily no one said to me, I know how you feel because I
yeah,
might not have been nice about it. Now
yeah,
I probably would, but still, I
yeah.
just think, no, you don't. No, people were good. And now you're in this damn club. And
Yes. Which,
never want to be in that club and here. And then you realize no one gets out of it without eventually being part of that club. So,
yeah, that's kind of why I'm doing this
yeah,
work too, is that we have to get better at it. I'm not saying
yeah,
that we're going to get good at it. There's always going to be the same feelings and the same pain. But I think for me, at least, I went through multiple really difficulties, and it took me the third one to kind of go, okay, I got to do this differently because I'm obviously not doing it well because I continue to resist it and continue to just get stuck. So I think it helps to realize that we have to come up with coping mechanisms because my mother's story says aging is not for the weak. And I'm like, but I'm thankful to be aging. I'm
right,
thank I'm
right,
thankful to continue, but I want to be able to enjoy it and I don't want to get stuck.
right, right. And I think it's really easy to get stuck. Uh,
Yeah.
Talked about faking it. I really felt like I was walking this fine line. I need to function in the world. I can't just crawl into my bed for weeks on end, although I might have wanted to. But I know that if I resist this, it will break me.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have that happen either. And I just accepted there would be points where I'll still say to my husband, I'm having a Kate day, which means I basically get on the couch with trash TV and maybe something good to eat or drink.
Yeah.
And that day I write off. I don't try to accomplish anything, knowing that the next morning I will wake up feeling better. Now I know that. First I didn't. It's like, am I going to feel like this forever? And at some point I realized, no, you're not. Usually the next day is better.
I
And
love that.
that's really a good thing to know. But I also know that when it hits, I'm just like, all right, take me down. You
That's
win
right.
today, but tomorrow you got to go away.
That's
And
right.
and
I think that's really good that you shared that.
yeah, well, early on, I would just talk to Kate. I'm like, will you give me a break today? I just need to breathe. Just, honey, back off a little. And what I started doing, and these have been very rare, but they're so interesting. I've only dreamed about her a few times, but each time she reassures me she's okay.
Hmm.
She's like, Mom, come sit down, talk to me. I'm like, well, what are you doing here? And she's like, come on, just have a seat. And there's nothing profound said. It's just, I see her, she's her beautiful self, and she's okay. And I wake up like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Grateful for those.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was interesting because I work with a psychic medium, and she puts it this way. She says they're in a good place.
Yeah,
They don't feel the things that we feel anymore. They love us. The love doesn't go away, but they aren't in our world anymore. They're not consumed with the stuff that we're consumed with anymore. So I think it makes perfect sense. I'm okay. I want to
yeah,
be with you. I still am in your world. Their spirit is
yeah,
still with us, but they aren't consumed by this stuff anymore.
yeah.
That for me, that was helpful. I don't know if it's at all helpful.
I'll take anything that's helpful.
Yeah, I thought that was helpful for me anyway, because I worried, I think there's, at least for me, there was a little bit of guilt and I wish I had known more and I wish I had been different. And it's just helpful for me to hear that, look, they don't care about that stuff anymore. They just want you to be happy and they love you. And that for
Yeah,
me, that was
yeah,
just like everything to hear.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you talking about that subject. And I'm sure that some of those thoughts will help people. What have I missed? What should I have asked, or what would you like to share?
Gosh. I think it's important to let anyone in this situation know that you do survive. You find joy again. That's what I've told friends who,
Nice.
unfortunately, I've had a couple friends who suddenly lost children.
Mm,
And I gave it a few weeks before I wrote because you're not ready to hear this right, or at least I wouldn't have been.
mm.
But astoundingly, you find joy and it coexists with the grief. And I don't understand the dynamic. It's like the grief just kind of moves over just a little bit and lets this joy in. And I'm like, okay, grief, you got to take a break for a while because right now there's something really wonderful happening. And I distinctly remember the first time I felt that. I would walk to work in Missoula and I walked through this very beautiful wild park on the way. There was a creek, there's wildlife, there were owls and hawks, beautiful. And so I'm trudging through it one day. I think it was spring, and I looked around and the sun was shining and the flowers were blooming. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And I went, I haven't felt this in months and months and months. And here's this feeling. And it didn't last long, but I knew I could feel it. And that
Mhm.
if I could feel it once, I would feel it again. So I keep quoting these pop culture references like Taylor Swift, but wasn't it
They're good though.
Jurassic Park where the guy said, life finds a way?
Yes,
You live your life.
that's
And
right.
the alternative is just unthinkable.
Mhm,
So live it to the fullest.
mhm. In a way, it almost reminds you how important life is, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Another thing since this happened, there is so much that I don't give a hoot about anymore.
Yep.
Little things that might have bothered me. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
They are just not even on my radar now. Not
Yeah.
a good way to have gotten to that place, but it's a good place to be.
Yeah. It reduces your ability to put up with some things too, I
Right.
think,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
behaviors. I think it just levels it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Maybe a little bit about what you're working on next, if there's anything. I know you just put something in for, it sounds like for
Yeah, so I
review.
have one novel that will come out next May, and that is a pretty traditional mystery, sort of more of a lighthearted one. I have this one that I don't want to talk about too much because it is on submission and I'm afraid I'll jinx it, but I
Okay.
feel really, really strongly about that book. And I'm going to start writing a sequel to the mystery that's out.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it's fun. It's good to be busy. It's good to, I mean, it is an enormous privilege to be a published author.
Yes.
It just, even on days when the writing's going badly, I'm like, hey, there were days when you would have killed to be here. So I appreciate that all the time.
Oh, that's amazing. That's an amazing thing.
Thank you.
Well, I think I'll tie it up there. I really appreciate this time and getting to know you and hearing your story. It's so inspiring. So thank you.
Well, thanks for your very thoughtful questions. I appreciate them.
Awesome. That's all for today. If you want to learn more about Gwen's books, events, and speaking services, those links will be in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode was helpful. If it was, please subscribe, drop a review, or share it with your friends and family. That's the best way to get it in the hands of those who may benefit. And if my daughters Sienna and Sylvia are listening, I want you to know how proud I am of you. And I love you so, so much. Bye now.